and this is how the days are. I understand, and more to come in future. Exams are line up. Things are going to be more critical as we are going to unlock ourselves, working arena, personal domain. सारी चीजें balance out करनी है, and that is how we are getting skillful training under this training, flagship program. So no worries, and be cool, and let's begin. As usual, the tradition of our class. Let's gently close down our eyes and begin with your breathing exercise. A small, deep breathing exercise. I have already kept on you telling that what are the ground rules, the golden rules. So, the golden rules are: breathe yourself that nobody else is getting disturbed by your breathing, and deep breathe in this manner that you could notice which nostril is getting breathe in and getting breathe out. 5 counts on your own. And gently open your eyes. And we are all back to screen, connected, and of course, attentively connected. So, welcome you all on our last but 2 more sessions to go. Last, as I said, because as far as input is concerned, the content part of your syllabus is concerned, we have reached to the last part of your syllabus of paper number 4, experiential learning methods. That is a wonderful concept I should share with you all, that which is being called as a future of experiential training. What is the future of experiential training, which is that wonderful tool in the hands of our trainers, the facilitators, and understanding it more deeply, not only for us as an individual, but in general for a society. So this is how the concept is being called as outbound trainings, or it is also called as outdoor trainings or outward bound trainings. As the name suggests, and we are going to go deep in, understand the concept first, and look into the past of this particular concept. Look into how did it evolve, how did it got into, specifically into training interventions, and how are we using it today, and why it is called the future of experiential learning. So this is how I'm going to share. Next 20 minutes, I'm going to share a concept. I'm going to share a philosophy rather, which is very deep rooted somewhere in our educational systems worldwide. Don't get into that, educational system only related with the area of our Indian studies or global studies, but as I said, worldwide. So how did it got evolved, and how did it got refurbished, rejuvenated, redesigned in these complete evolution cycle? And today what we see is an outward bound training, which you all must be aware of. Might be many of you have experienced it, visited it, or might be using it as an one of the tools for you for your training ideas to be executed. So this is next 20 minutes. Let's see how we share the idea, and I would welcome your inputs as well. Gurvinder ji, is it visible? Raghuraman ji, is it visible?
Yes, yes, it is
It's
visible.
visible, ma'am.
Okay. Kurt Hahn, with who's called as the father of modern experiential learning. See, we have discussed experiential learning theory of David Cobb. So don't get confused with this. But David Cobb is a follower, or I should say, the legacy of Kurt Hahn is being followed or is being actually implemented practically in today's era by David Cobb. So we had this session last time, but I'd like you to know more about this personality, the character in front of you. Uh, Kurt Hahn was born in 1886 in Germany. So he was a German and he was born to a very influential and a wealthy family, Jewish family. This is what I'm talking about, see, 1886, so long time. And how was his bringing, upbringing, how did he went to the school, and since then how did he understood the the concept of teaching, learning and training, and what was his passion towards his work philosophy. This is how entire autobiography is written about him. There are a lot of researchers, those who are working onto it, and they have read through his all best of his works. And this is how now it's got populated down to the training interventions in the format of outward bound trainings. So I was speaking to you about this personality, German personality, born into the era of 1886. He was sent to the best of his school, best of his that time school in Berlin. But when he entered the school, he understand, at a very early age, he understood the entire periphery of education system that time. It was more strict, it was more authoritarian, it was very much rigid in the sense that they were always focused upon what are the academic pursuits, how it is to be done, that is a process, and what is the biggest goal, that is a big test. So if you score on your test, you get on to the next ranks or next class. So it was more focused about getting into the marks, getting the grades, and then moving ahead. So at his early age, he understood this, and he was not very much uh, bound towards the system of learning and training that time. So he was always looking out for his own queries, and his own answers to his own queries were that what deep inside was him, that it is something more than the academic input. What is that something more? So he was always into this kind of an exercise, that he would share his ideas with his teachers, so called that time German strict teachers. So there was an incident which is written in his autobiography book also, that the teacher gave them an idea of writing down an essay about how do you feel that this teaching learning process or the education is going to make your character the more stronger way. So he wrote it in a very with his all deep passion towards understanding the teaching learning process. And when he submitted his essay to his teacher, so teacher started laughing on him in front of the entire class, and that shattered his entire I should say a confidence, the persona, and the uh, ideology of putting his ideas in front of such a huge traditional system of teaching and learning. So that was, but he was not shattered with his ideologies or his mission of understanding it in a deep format. So he continued it, and he took it not as a setback, but he said, okay, fine, now it's a system. Let's churn out through this system and let's do something. So what next happened to him was that the philosophy, that spring idea, the wonderful idea in his mind, that what is beyond an education, What is that something which is just beyond a traditional system of an education? So he always propounded an idea, and we call him a father of a modern experiential learning, because he said that learning by doing. So this nomenclature or this idea was being given by the personalities in front of you, and which gave him a kind of a spirit that that spreads hugely. When he finished off his complete high school, then he went up to further education, and his further education he did from Oxford in Britain, and then the World War I just began. So that time he couldn't completed his Oxford education. That was an ironical idea that I would like to share. That uh, learned person achieving so huge milestone in his life, and doing a lot of service to the nation. He was called back to Germany, and he was being given, because since that time it was a World War I, so he was being given a huge responsibility. And that responsibility was because he was a learned person, so he was given a responsibility that he should read newspapers daily and understand the mood and the psychology of public in general of the enemy country. So the enemy country was nothing but a Britain, where he spent his entire, most of his life into education, further education, higher education. So that was an ironical part. But then he was a German, he was a serviceman, he was having that spirit of a citizenship, service to the nation. So he took up that work, whatever being assigned to him. So that time it is said in his a lot of articles, when we go through and understand his character, his persona, that time he fought with his own ideas, that how to come up out of this particular situation. So sooner or later, the World War was finished off, and things were coming back to normal. And then he never looked back. Kurt Han uh, was being appointed as a private secretary to Prince Max von Baden. I have to refer to my notes, because there are a lot of things which is written about him, and very worthy to remember everything. So he was given this huge responsibility, that he became a secretary to that time's prince. And thereupon, the journey of his philosophy, the ideology of something beyond education started off. So this Prince Max has invited, or has granted a permission that he could live with him, or he could be a part of his core team. So he was always a facilitator to Kurt, and that time they both together thought of a such a noble idea, or thought of a such an school, I should say, such a schooling system, which would renew the ethical dimensions or ethical traditions of German social life. So they were of an opinion that uh, this traditional system of an education, wherein we are just putting children as an input and thinking about it as an output in the terms of tests, grades, marks, ranks, and then making them more kind of a mechanized I mechanized knowledge set, I should say, mechanized knowledge workers, or mechanized human beings, that cannot be used into a complete holistic way. A human being is not just to be judged by what kind of a grades, or what kind of a job, or what kind of an culture you belong to, but it has to be a complete person. It has to be a multi-dimensional achieving persona, that he would have that curiosity, he would have that drive, he would have that motive to understand himself, herself the better way, and have his own onus or a responsibility, that he or she can lead a life in their own terms. So making them more independent, it's basically, let's not be making them more dependent. So this is how the ideology of both of them started up. they came up with an idea of putting up a school in German somewhere in 1920s. That was the first school, and it was called as Salem. I'll tell you in detail the particular school and their ventures. And then the idea of this German school, uh, after the World War II, which began somewhere in 1934-35 onwards. So uh, Kurt Hahn was being thrown out of his own country, Germany, to back to again his UK, Britain, and the ideology, the philosophy, uh, just got transferred, or I should say, just got traveled throughout with his own efforts, his own understanding that this ideology needs to be shared with even the enemy countries. So when he came back again after World War II to Britain, the entire ideology of that particular school, which uh, he was a founder of German school, the Salem school. He prototyped the similar pattern into a Britain, and even today that particular school is there, Gordonston School, which it got founded somewhere in 1934. So what was those philosophy, what was those areas of understanding of educational system, and putting through a proper channel. And now today what we what we have received as their own, as their legacy of work to us, as when we see our teaching or a training system or an education system and their inputs, somewhere we can relate to it, somewhere we can definitely find a link to it. So I'm just going to share with you all that what had happened that time, what was his philosophy, and what were those ideas. This is what I was talking to you about, his first school in Germany, which was basically this. You can see, it is something like a castle. So this was a ancestral property of Prince Max that times. So he gave him, and both of them started up with this particular private boarding school, which is still today working. And soon after that, they have also started, as I said, after World War II, the Brownston School in UK. Now, I'll just share with you 5 to 6 points which I have just catch hold out of the article which I have read through. So this Brownston School in UK in 34, that time, what areas they were working upon? See, for example, everyday run before a breakfast. So what comes into our mind? A physical fitness. So it was a must exercise. Silent nature walk. Silent nature walk. That zeroing time, that silent time. Individual training plan. They always put into a system that each individual, each of us are unique in our own sense. So we should always look inside ourselves, look within ourselves, and try to plan out our own training plans, our own educational pursuits. Power of failure. Kurt Hahn was a biggest believer, and he was a preacher of making us understand that there is a power of failure, and that makes us individuals an idea, or an quality for which we, and perseverance, we become more perceived towards. If we get fail up, if we get, if we get any kind of a failure, so we become more perceived towards how to solve it more in a better way. Projects. This was that time. See, I'm talking about 1934's time. So project हम आज देखते हैं हमारे education system पे, project based learning. So that was that time they had pushed into their school system that projects could be anything. So this is something outside the education system, outside the academic effort. What matters is understanding the learning by doing. So projects could be of any exploration of idea, it could be in research based project, it could be related with the music, even with the music, even with the art and skill, uh, masonry, painting, anything. So that was the core curriculum of their schooling system, self-ranking system, or self-tracking, I should say self-tracking system. Each student was being given an onus, or an their ownership was that you would yourself track your own grades, your own marks, that how you have fared up, how you can improve upon in the next cycle, in the next test. And you yourself are responsible to share your grades and marks with your parents. And the wonderful idea, the final report card is to be drafted by student themselves, that this is how we have fared, or this is how we have been ranked through the entire one academic year. And they are responsible to share it with their parents. So wonderful ideas that time. And today we can see a replica in our own education system in some or the other formats, or with some or the other names. This was again a wonderful thing which I'm going to share with you, is called rescue services. As we can see, Kurt Ham and personalities, characters like him who were working on this particular philosophy had gone through World War I, World War II. Also, they have seen. So that time they understood that so huge, capable population of our country should be put in a right channel, in a right framework, so that we can have them as a strength, them as a asset, and not just as an serving thing, or not just as a liability that we are serving only citizens, but how citizens can serve a country. So, through the education system, in fact, in their own education system, they put in this rescue services training. So, rescue services training could be anything, it was related with the ideas of saving the uh, sailors, saving the armed forces, or fighting the fire, or just helping out building up the infrastructure. So yet it, though it looks very small things, or small ideas, but it was that way. That time it was a huge success, and required thing. And they were at a very right um, pathway to make it understand, absorb, and make it in that fashion that the citizens serve to the country. So service part was always there. So it is somewhere through these ideas which I have shared with you, that time they have drafted, and that time they had in fact implemented, and found through that it worked, and it got replicated by other countries as well. So that is how the Kurt Hans philosophy of understanding what is beyond education, what is beyond understanding the education, not just into a traditional framework, but or a contemporary framework, but something more to that. This is how a brief I can give you all about him, and some more inputs which is more related to our training and development areas, wherein we can see that we have drawn these concepts and we are implementing it today. As I said, Curtin was a moving spirit. He was given this honor. This was, the four pillars of Hans' work, and I just discussed with you all. The physical fitness was given uh, an understanding that why it is needed, basically because young people, young population should develop this, and it gives them not only just physical strength, but in mental strength. And that mental strength works in a wonderful way, that they build up their own persona or a character, not only physically strong, but mentally equipped enough, that they are more endurance oriented, they are more agile, so they are more attentive, so they participate more openly and willingly. Expeditions, experiences, as the name suggests you, expedition is not new nomenclature to all of you. It's basically a wonderful combination for these young people, for this young youth, uh, students specifically, I should say, or young adults, to make understand uh, the life is a combination of challenges, and the life is also a combination of um, adventure. Putting challenges through an adventurous way and exploring it out in your own fashion, in your with your own strength, physical, mental strength, and finding out your own answers. Projects and service was again one of two more important pillars of his work, which is being even replicated today. We can see, uh, in our schooling system, we have began now with project basis understanding of the concepts. But in our higher education system also, it has become an imperative part of an academic curriculum that child has to go through this kind of a different levels of a project. So this is how his entire pillar of work was being you know was being onto these four arenas, majorly onto these four arenas. And the entire philosophy was based upon his particularly two themes. So these two themes, uh, names could differ, but get into the meaning out of it. So the meaning behind it is basically to include, have an inclusion and expand. At the same time, he was also of an opinion that each one of us have different strength, in our own unique way. We have different strengths, we have different shortcomings. I shouldn't say the weaknesses, but we have few shortcomings, and understanding it to our core and making it as our own strength. There is a need for in some, some opportunity, some path break, or some and some way out, basically, to explore it and to feel it or to understand it in a more deeper way, and then take hold of it, take hold of your own thing and go ahead. So he was of an opinion that, your disability is your opportunity. How? So just a fair idea I like to give you about what was his theme of the entire schools which he has set up, the philosophy of schools, which is the schooling system which he had propounded for and preached for, implemented even, and it got replicated by a lot of other people. He was the first person who talked about, something called scholarship, and even today we can see that it is implementing it at our end also. So he wanted to involve, inclusion is about involving not just a one sect of a people, or one uh, cluster of a people, but at large, everybody who's not capable, who's not able, should also be a part of it. So people, or those students, or those families, those who were bit disadvantaged, who was of least elite classes, they were needed to be a part of this schooling system. So he began with this an idea, and it was accepted very well, and it got implemented too. Graded fee structure, that makes it more comfortable for the parents also to understand that yes, my child, or my my particular of offspring is also a part of the society. So inclusiveness. So the mantra behind it is that uh, the idea of shared learning, the idea of shared responsibility, and the idea of making everybody capable of, not just a one sector. For those who could afford it, they should only go for it, not that way. So that philosophy is still, we can see that it is there. Yes, expansion in two terms, and we have already, I just spoke to you about expansion in two terms basically, and the second one is more important, that outside school environment, what best, what is that which can create magic in the uh, brain of young minds. So beyond that is what he propounded that this is how the things should be expanded. So then it got replicated. Then it got, he opened up a lot of other branches. Then it went to Britain. Then it went to US. This is how things got expanded. So this was his theme behind working for those four pillars and putting it into a system. This is a small idea at that time what he included. He designed a one program that for particular this school, Salem School, and which was a outside school education, 3 months of a practical social work was designed by him. The first, uh, the idea of socializing the youth at the right time and seeding them with an idea of service. So, with the help of this, I think this was a wonderful notion, wonderful idea to be shared with young minds. 4 weeks of athletic training, attendance on a course is needed when it is somewhere between horseback riding or sail training, something. So this wonderful combination started coming up. As that time, whatever their country's situation was, the economy for which they were working, and what were their need, and how best training or teaching learning process can be established in that framework. See, these were those ideas that time. Yes, and that moment, the idea of outward bound started, I think, got emerged. Yes, this is again something which is more appealing. His entire aim was for an holistic education. It shouldn't be something only oriented towards an academic balance, but a complete individual is being, there are a lot of dimensions which need to be tracked, which need to be traced for, and which need to be assessed, and which need also to be developed for. So understanding individuals in that framework, with this kind of a combination, academic, a balance academic curriculum with different varieties of an activities, just in a previous slide we saw. So different varieties of activities which would help them to understand what they have learned in their classrooms, and then a wonderful combination of different other elements also. Now these all other elements basically, long term short term projects, long term short term expeditions, or service to a country, some skills to be enhanced for. So the idea of apprenticeship, the idea of putting short term training courses, short term skill oriented training courses, this is all, the theme behind his work was to make ourselves understand that what all shortcomings I have, I should assess it, I should understand those ones. I should trace them, track them, and keep on analyzing in such a perspective that I continuously keep on develop them. So that becomes automatically then my strength. So my strength is my strength, but what are my shortcomings? That is what he was of an opinion. He was of an idea which he shared with this kind of a thing. So this is again a small thing, or but yet important. 7 laws of his schooling system. His first school was Salem, and Salem mean peace. Salem is a German word which means peace. So, what were the 7 laws? Just go through the slide. You would understand the deep meaning behind it. Give children the opportunity for self discovery. We talk about self discovery, right? Make the children meet with triumph and defeat. There's a joy of winning, and there is something loss of losing. So a child should be exposed to these two ends, these two emotional ends, and they need to get exposed to it so that they understand it in a right perspective, and then they defeat their own defeatism. Defeating your own defeatism is the biggest joy. So how would it come? You know, if we give them opportunity, if we give them opportunity to explore more, explore with a common cause, or I should say, a common idea, that everybody coming together, doing particular task, but okay, that task is being achieved. Okay, that group, maybe you win the match or you lose the match, but then at the end of a day, that entire sect of thoughts, feelings, ideas you've been going through, the child being going through, should be understood in that way. So opportunity is needed. So therefore we can see, sports coming to a major role, apart from the outside, apart from the regular education, academic education, provide periods of a silence. This was again his idea, his one of the law of his system, schooling system, that silence gives you that zero time to have that self talk, to have that your uh, to talk to you about the reason behind the life, the reason behind the existence. So if a child is not being given that kind of a space or a silent space, then how citizens we are going to develop, that was his notion, that was his mindset when he framed these all seven laws. Train the imagination. This is a wonderful idea again. Make games important but not predominant. So, this is how we derive this sixth law, which we derive when we talk about outward bound. It's not only just games, when it comes to an outbound. So, we think about it is only fun and entertainment and auxiliary games and adventure based things. But no, there has to be some balanced framework which is to be pre designed before we take into an adventure based or outward bound based pursuits. Free the sons of the wealthy and powerful from the enervating sense of a privilege, which we talk about, the philosophy or the theme of inclusion, inclusiveness. So these were a basic understanding one has to have before we take us towards the present scenario. What we see, in our present scenario, the education system, the teaching learning process, and teaching training process, when it comes to a training, and specifically when it comes to an outward bound, we try to understand in just one perspective, that this is something which would give you a sense of joy, or sense of an entertainment, or something to relax for, something to get change for. uh, but this is not just, yes, it's a part of it, but this is not the only part of it. There is something more beyond it. This is a self learning slide, self reading slide. These are his own words, which I could gather from one of his articles. Just go through and just try to read his mind, what he meant about these words. There is something more. The second slide also, I would want you to please.
Ma'am, there is one expectation video also which we always see in trainings, and the same way we tell the stories of that. You might
Okay.
have heard of Jack Sheraton's story of expedition.
No, I'm not aware of. What is
That's
it
the
about?
only expedition of Antarctic Ocean from where
Mm-hmm.
he came back with 45 people, not alone. That's
Okay.
the only story, and that's the very motivational story. And most of the corporate show them as a in sales training program for leadership training program. So I have also done one for one organization. So
Okay.
that's why I know that it's very good story. So that's the same expectation which you are showing, no, ma'am. The
Mm-hmm.
same way we tell the story in 20 minutes to the audience, and
Okay.
then we'll talk about, like in case study, we talk about that story.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn from that particular expedition experience of that story?
So what was the key around it?
What is the key
How what
around
you felt about Jack Sheraton?
it? Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, was that right when
Understand.
they were eating dogs there because they had nothing to eat
Hmm. For the
in those
survival.
days? Yeah, yeah, for the
Yes.
survival.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, ma'am.
Okay, Yogesh, you have already started with the ideas which I shared with you and what you understand and reflect upon. I like to ask you one question. In your entire education until your career and even today in your career time, what was that particular event you would remember at just one click of your back memories uh, that you keep on revisiting. हम बार बार उसको याद करते हैं और मे बी खुश होते हैं या मे बी with any kind of a feeling. So ऐसा कोई आपको ट्रेनिंग इवेंट याद होगा कि जहां आप शेयर करना चाहोगे?
Ma'am, that's very emotional. I'm very emotional man. What happened one day, because I'm working in direct selling industry.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, I went to one area in Rajasthan which is known as Ratlam, sorry, MP, which is known as Ratlam,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in 2014, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do a lot of motivational training programs and big seminars. So 500 people were sitting in the auditorium there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing one motivational storytelling, because I
Mm-hmm.
start my signature style is that I start my motivational trainings through storyline.
Okay.
So once I ended this story, and I was asking the audience that what you have learned out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So one boy who was, I think, 19 or 20-year old, he stood up
Mm-hmm.
and he said that, sir, your story was very relating to my point, but let me tell you, I don't have parents.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The moment he said, I don't know what happened to me. I had tears in my eyes, and I was
Mm-hmm.
not able to speak for next 5 minutes on stage.
Okay. Okay.
So even I had a water, even I had everything. I just called the one MC over there to handle it, but that moment I got very weak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So whenever I give whenever I go on stage and whenever I go done these trainings after that, I keep on reminding that one situation,
Mm-hmm.
that any if you are asking question to anyone,
Mm-hmm.
that answer may be anything.
Okay.
So
Okay.
be ready for everything, and focus on your work. So that's what I
Okay.
always remember, and I always want to focus on. So one key learning which I got, and I think that's the I still have goosebumps when I'm telling it to you, and I'm
Oh.
telling you from heart, ma'am. That was the thing that I cannot forget forever in my life.
तो योगेश आज भी आपको उस बच्चे का चेहरा याद होगा?
बिल्कुल याद है मैम.
ओके एंड कभी आपने उसके साथ कनेक्ट एस्टैब्लिश करने की कोशिश करी?
मैम कनेक्ट में उसके साथ 3 साल रहा, उसके साथ मैंने उसको
अच्छा.
गाइड किया. I have guided
अच्छा.
him that how he can grow in direct selling. And
वाह.
let me tell you, in network marketing, he is a diamond director. He is earning 1.25 lakh rupees per month
अरे
right
वाह.
now.
Very, big thumbs up to you. Big
Thank
thumbs
you,
up.
ma'am. Thank
So
you, ma'am.
somewhere, when it comes to training events, or we had been through a lot of other one or the other training, maybe at our work arena, or maybe on our own way we go for an expeditions or anything. Uh, these there are some training events we that becomes memorable, lifetime memorable. तो जैसे योगेश ने शेयर किया, किसी और को कुछ ऐसा याद आता है तो शेयर करें प्लीज.
I have an event, ma'am, but it's not a training event.
Okay.
But so this was early in my career when I started working as a web designer for a very small company in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. And at that time, it was such a small company that it was in a house. We all were very closely knitted. And it was a new company, so we were working on multiple projects. And because I was a designer, I was part of all the projects that were going on, because I had to make sure the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, the front end, client side scripting and all is being done properly. And after that, I got bored. And then I had this sales representative from US. And he was a very nice guy named Chandresh Shah. One day he pings me, Jyoti, what happened? I said, I'm bored. It's like, I don't think whether I'm needed anymore in the organization. Because there's a time when you comes that you're doing a repetitive job and you get frustrated. So I was really pissed at that time. So he's like, Jyoti, you are like salt. That if you are not there, you are missed. So he's like, we need you in all the projects. And don't you ever feel, that you are not required. So that somewhere stuck with me. And after that, even when I climbed up in my ladder, in my career, I made it a point to appreciate people either in person, in one or other way, to let them know that you are valued and we hear you and we see you.
अच्छा, so अभी भी याद आता है वो स्टेटमेंट जो उन्होंने करा आपके लिए ना, you are a salt.
Yeah, it's one of the best compliments I've got in my life. That you are not, it may not be visible, but you are there.
Those words are going to stick to your memory throughout the life.
It does. It does. The minute you told me, I was just, that's the first memory that popped. After that also I had other experiences, but this is the best I had in my life.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Anybody else? Again, I am asking you the same thing. ऐसा कोई भी ट्रेनिंग इवेंट, नॉट नीडेड ट्रेनिंग इवेंट, जैसे अभी ज्योति ने भी शेयर करा. So anything which...
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not a training, but yeah, I had gone for an internship. I was doing diploma in counseling skills, so we were supposed to visit an Anand ashram.
Okay.
So as soon as I entered, I saw a baby in the cradle. The parents had abandoned the baby. So I was very moved. And when I came out, a 5-year-old girl came to me. And I was an introvert that time. I wouldn't talk to children. Also, I wouldn't talk to people much. So she came and she caught hold of my hand. And she came and told me that, what is your name? She asked me. And in the return, I asked her name. And she told me, both my parents are dead. And my brother also died in an accident. All three of them died in an accident. So the moment she told me this, I started crying loudly. And it was like I couldn't control. And I had to go out of the ashram. And, it didn't stop for almost 15 minutes. I was just, and even now I'm very shocked about that incident. So when Yogesh spoke about his experience, it reminded me of this experience. So very shocking for me. And I was like really surprised. Why did I cry so much?
What was the reason, did you try to talk to yourself that what was that thing which took you to tears? मतलब ऐसा क्या था?
Maybe because I felt very bad that she's lonely, that child is lonely, because she said all three of them are not there in her life now, and she's alone. So maybe that must have moved me.
Are you still somewhere connected
It's empathy.
with that particular event or those particular people?
No,
not that.
Not
but memory में रह गया.
Yes, it is there in my mind. And I spoke to my counselor also. I told him. So he said, it happens. It's okay. Don't take it seriously.
Yes.
But he asked me one question. How old was the girl? He asked me this question. And I told him around 5 years.
Okay. so these things keep on happening, है ना, होता है ऐसा. और
Yes, ma'am.
हमें भी उसमें से we learn a lot of other dimensions which are still not being cannot be seen by our naked eyes, but then can be felt through somewhere. तो
Right.
हमेशा हमेशा याद तो रह जाती है ऐसी कुछ incidents.
Yeah, and very strange. I mean, it sounds, because I just met that girl and I just started crying. So even now I wonder how did this happen?
Okay.
मैम सेम हेयर बिकॉज द सिनेरियो वाज नॉट टोटली डिफरेंट. आप स्टोरी सुना रहे हो किसी और चीज पे, वहां पर बेटे और बाप का जिक्र है, तो यू डोंट इवन रियलाइज कि somebody will come with that sound. and वो खड़ा, वो बिल्कुल इमोशनल हुआ था. मैंने उसी से क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया और उसने खड़ा होकर एकदम वो रोने लगा और उसने बोला आई डोंट हैव पेरेंट्स. तो वो मुझे बिल्कुल इमोशनल कर गया उस मोमेंट में.
वो टच कर जाता है. यस यस, एंड वी कीप हमेशा के लिए याद रख जाता है. कुछ इनपुट्स मुझे अगर नायडू जी, आप, अनुराग जी, आप आपके पूरे एंटायर करियर में थ्रू आउट योर any event, any incident you'd like to share on this platform which you still remember, which you कितना भी आप भूलने की कोशिश करें you won't be able to. कोई और?
If there's nobody, I have one more, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so for the same internship, we also went to a old age home. An old age home. So our lecturer, I mean trainer, had already told us. So if someone talks to you or they are angry with you, you just listen to them. You don't have to talk back, or just keep silent and listen to them. Okay, so when we went to this old age home, we were a team of 5 or 6 people, and we went to this old age home, and we started talking to all the old people there, ladies and men over there. So I came across this lady, and I went to her. I mean, I saw this lady sitting on the chair, and I went to her, and as usual, I went and said, hello auntie, how are you? And I started talking to her. I mean, I just told her one sentence, and in the return, she started screaming at me. She started shouting at me badly. Okay, how dare you come and talk to me, and you people are like this. So for 5 minutes, not 5, maybe 2 minutes, she went on. I just stood there silent. Okay, and once she finished, I told her, I just reflected back her feeling as I was instructed. So I just told her, I know you're very angry. I just told her that. Next second, she tears came out from her eyes. And she told me, I'm very sorry, because I'm very upset. And she told her sad story to me. So this incident again, is a mark in my heart.
Okay. It's really touching.
Because she completely changed from being angry, because I just acknowledged her feeling. She started crying, and she shared with me for next 1 hour. She sat and spoke to me, and she became very nice to me.
Oh, wonderful. And this is something, incredible, I should say, a strength of yours, that at least you could touch the other's heart and mind. And if they could start relieving their thoughts with you, that is something really incredible.
Yes, ma'am. So after this for 2 years, I went regularly to the old age home.
Oh, noble work. Oh, what a noble work. And a different
One I
set of a
want,
service.
ma'am, one I can share more if you allow. Ma'am, ma'am, let me tell you frankly, when I entered in the training field, though, I was only a trainer, I can say, who have given the script. For example, the training methodology or process training, and you just have to talk on process. I was in IBM at that point of time, I can say this. And I was doing a US healthcare domain training program, which is an operational training program from 2006 to 2012. And so I was only a trainer. But once I met one of the leader who is the owner of a big company now. So I saw him speaking on stage, and he was a trainer in Pfizer for 12 years. Then he started his own organization. I don't want to name his name because might this recording will go on YouTube. So when I saw him speaking, he was so lively, ma'am. And and the way, the aura he speaks, even till now, till date, he's I think 60 around now. But
Okay.
whenever he goes on stage and he speaks anything,
Acha.
people listen him like God.
Oh.
So when I saw him for the first time, I was thinking that this is called as a trainer. And if you want to be a trainer, you have to be like them. Then I asked him that what you have all done in your life. I went to
Yes.
him, I begged him to interview him first time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's how I came into direct selling also, because I joined his organization as a trainer. Then after I left the organization IBM at that point of time, ma'am. So that's the lifetime memory for me,
uh,
that he said
Thanks
one
for.
line.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Ma'am, he said one line. I just want to close it. He said one line to me, which actually reminds me every day whenever I am speaking as a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
That Yogesh, you are going to work in direct selling, and
Mm-hmm.
remember one thing: people are, if trainees are listening to you as a trainer,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be on toes with the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that line which he gave me, ma'am, at that point of time, I have started reading books. I was
Mm-hmm.
not a reader. I
Acha.
started doing certifications of training. I was not at all interested in any kind of certification. And that day I realized that who is trainer. So I think,
Okay.
so
So
that's one memory.
somewhere that magnetism of his aura has given you some, a ray of an inspiration, a ray of an
Yeah, ma'am.
hopes towards your dreams or towards
Yes,
your
ma'am.
deep-seated understanding of your own persona, the character, the values, the virtues which we are made up of, and how to shine through our own strengths and how to overcome through our own shortcomings, and how to keep a wonderful balance, and at least strive a balance, or at least strike through a wonderful journey to be lived ahead. And these kind of a movement is always going to stay with us, irrespective of
Yes, ma'am.
irrespective of the stature which we have today, had yesterday, or going to have in coming time. But these are going to be a major, I should say, yardsticks for ourselves to judge ourselves. So ये छोटी छोटी evidences, incidences, events, आपकी memories, आपका खुद का contribution, जिसको हम कहते हैं ना, हम अपने लाइफ जर्नलिंग, हम अपने लाइफ जर्नल में लिखते रहते हैं कहीं ना कहीं, नॉट physically we do it as an exercise, but somewhere inside our mind, inside our brain, we keep on doing it regularly. अनुराग जी, आप कुछ शेयर कहेंगे? आप पिन हो गए हैं तो I
Yes,
thought.
yes, madam.
हाँ जी.
Actually, I was patiently listening, and these are really so much touching stories, I must say. Madam, I am certainly there are many instances with me also, but I would like to share only one. It happened in Bombay some time back. Um, I went to this ISKCON temple in Chowpatty, very close to Marine Drive. I think Girgam Chowpatty. So generally, I, like I informed earlier, I'm working with LIC, and we are having our very big training center in Bombay. So
Yes.
I was in the beginning of my career posted in Maharashtra in Aurangabad. And since I was in IT, computers department, involved with the valuation and all those technical things, and I got a lot of opportunities of visiting Bombay, Pune, and Satara like this. So I used to spend my free time in ISKCON temple in Bombay
Okay.
particularly. So there, one very strange thing happened. Generally, temples are very silent, but on that day, devotees are generally busy with their own chanting or doing things. Then suddenly there was a lot of noise, and it was very unusual. I saw one person was literally shouting, because I had never seen anybody speaking loudly. Forget the shouting in temple. So naturally the attention was there. There was some, generally they are distributing prasadam and fruits and other things. And something similar was going on. And one person who was actually distributing, he was shouting.
Oh.
And he was annoyed with the person who had either after breaking the line, or he was trying to go repeatedly. Something must be there. I don't know exact reason, but yeah, there was a altercation, and that person also replied something, and this was a lot of shouting and this. So it was very unusual. So immediately I rushed to the spot, and before me, I saw another person came, and what he was without saying anything, by gestures only, he was trying to tell the person who was shouting that please don't do that.
Okay.
With gestures only, please don't do that.
Okay.
Now it was something like if a person is very much annoyed and someone is telling something, so it is not instantly he is able to reconcile or understand what he's saying or why he's saying.
Right.
Then something very shocking happened. What he did, the person who was trying to stop the person from shouting, he went very close to him and just embraced the person. Just embraced the person.
Okay.
And by this time, so many people were there. And what they saw, uh, this person who has just reached there, he never uttered even a single word. Only tears were flowing down his face, means his eyes. And he had embraced him so tightly, he was not ready to leave him. Now, this person who was shouting at top of his voice, suddenly he was silent, totally silent. He was not able to see the face that he's actually tears are flowing down his eyes, but he could feel something is there. Something is there. So he was totally silent. Then, when he became silent, yeah, then he saw, he could see, Arey, this fellow,
Okay.
he was totally shocked. Instead of shouting, he literally, he melt away simply by seeing the tears. Then he was asking, Prabhuji, why ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हैं? क्या किया आपने? He never said anything, just wiped his tears and left. And the person on which he was shouting, this fellow was totally surprised because he was just watching the entire episode. So it was something I was totally. Then I asked the person who was shouting that what happened. He said, I don't know what happened to me. And generally, I'm not never losing my temper. But this instance, I saw this person repeatedly entering the line, and I got very much annoyed. Said, "Arey, but that is not the thing. The person who had embraced and who was literally means all he was all in tears.
Okay.
He quickly he vanished without speaking anything, without talking to anyone, nobody. So it was something like everyone was surprised.
Okay.
And see, it is something like in case of any altercation, people try to resolve. They try to
Right.
see.
What was
They try
your
to separate
observation,
the persons.
Anurag? What
Yeah,
was your observation since you were observing this happening in front of you between
I
these two
was.
individuals?
I.
What you?
I. Yeah, I'm telling that only.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, yeah, not now, but earlier when I was in branches, things were not good. We were
Okay.
frequently seeing very much annoyed people. And
Okay.
this is like, I always try to resolve the issues. This was since beginning that in beginning our offices were not in good shape. Computers were not there. Lot of means all manual work and everything.
Yes. Yes.
And people were generally not happy. And what they come, okay, we want to pay the premium of our policies, and you are telling you don't have any record. When we are alive and you have lost the record, what will happen when we are not there? So
Okay.
these type
Okay.
of things were there.
So
But
to cut short,
annoyed people,
yes, to cut it
yeah,
short and to put it in a right thoughts or words, is it that just maintaining a silence or just maintaining that calmness and compassionate gesture towards others can lessen down the uh, instability
exactly.
part of
Yeah,
the other
exactly. What
individual?
I found now that is without speaking even a single word,
Yes, Yes.
the entire matter can be
Can
resolved
be
very
can be
easily,
resolved.
and the message can be conveyed. What he
Conveyed.
wanted to convey, temple is not the place to fight.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
it was something like, yeah, everyone was so much touched. I
Yes.
was surprised. Arey, see, such a big
ये होता है.
altercation
ये होता
resolved
है.
so easily and instantly.
तो हर चीज डिबेट से नहीं सॉल्व हो सकती है
Yeah,
ना?
exactly.
Oh, wonderful, Anurag ji, and thank you so much. Anybody else, or will let's move ahead? And where we are moving ahead, I'll just take you towards a small screen I'm sharing, and you are going to go through some uh, fantastic, wonderful videos, and these videos which will be as you know an insightful videos, I should say, which would be an tool to you to observe. Please observe, listen, and observe through their gestures what is happening into that, what they're speaking about their mind, their small stories. They're small stories, like you all shared your all small stories, your memorable stories of your life, even small incidents. So just let's go ahead, and then I'll end up with my small story, and the crux behind getting outside of your training education zone, something beyond the training or education, something into an outward field. What is more near to your heart? What is that which touches you so deeply that you would never ever think about forgetting it? So कुछ कुछ चीजें आप लोगों ने शेयर करी, कुछ चीजें हम अब मिलके ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, और फिर I'll end up with that, my small story. So I'll just take you into the link. This is what the present of outward bound theme or the understanding.
The mountains of Oman offer a breathtaking environment for challenging journeys of discovery. The dramatic views and landscapes provide the perfect backdrop for courses that are physically and mentally testing enough for people to make discoveries about themselves and the world around them. Its ancient rocks and 1,000-year-old trees create an inspiring environment that encourages people to take a fresh look at themselves and their lives and make plans for their future. Following their instructors in safety along ancient donkey trails, groups discover spectacular landscapes quite different from what they are used to. Unlike anything else on the Arabian Peninsula, Jebel Akhtar offers a remote, unspoilt location just 2 hours' drive from Muscat. Towering up to 10,000 feet, as Muscat swelters in the heat of summer, on the mountain temperatures are much cooler, in winter falling below zero with occasional snow. The chance to explore this rugged terrain offers a real but manageable challenge, and the chance to appreciate the beauty of a truly wild environment, a place of thought-provoking remoteness where mobile phones don't work. Surprising discoveries lie in store for groups as they follow their instructors into the hills. abandoned mountain villages, and hidden caves. People have lived and farmed here for thousands of years, devising unique ways to transport life-giving water around the mountain. And rich wildlife adds another dimension to make an expedition here a truly memorable experience.
One more to go ahead.
Hello, I'm Tabir Braxton from the City School Student Media Team, alongside with my co-host,
Misha Norris. Today we're taking a trip to Chesapeake Bay Outward Bound School, where youth will be spending the day with our off-duty Baltimore City police officers.
Not only will we be spending time with our officers to build relationships, but their mission here is to change lives through challenge and discovery.
The students that visit this program aren't enrolled in the school, but come to the outdoors for a day to enjoy fun and nature. You should be prepared to work hard, learn some new skills, and most of all, have fun.
We're here today to tap into what really makes this a great experience. Spending time with them will give us a better understanding of what really drives them to take time out with our youth.
Basically, the police department has formed a partnership with Outward Bound, and we come out. Today is sort of our community day, and we come out and we do activities with, the inner city youth to build trust and understanding and relationships and bonds, that otherwise was probably severed, when you're in uniform, So today, one of these exercises, this is like a trust exercise where you climb the pole, They when you get to the top of the pole, you have to trust everyone that's holding the pole that, they won't let you fall. It's tough. For me, although I'm tall, I'm afraid of heights. Kind of ironic. The whole exercise is generally about trust.
So what made you join Outward Bound?
I've known about Outward Bound for a long time. My life's really been changed by my experiences in the outdoor perspective and how I think about other people and different views and just how I think about myself. And that's really at the core of what Outward Bound does for youth and adults alike.
How do you feel about this experience today?
It's kind of fun. I mean, this is my first time out here, so I'm enjoying it. Might as well have fun.
And how do you feel about this experience, being with officers?
It's pretty cool. I mean, like I said at first, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just how you do dumb stuff to make the officers mad. So.
How do you feel after today?
I feel like I conquered my fears of heights.
How do you feel towards police officers after today?
I feel as though that not all officers are the same, so people should stop comparing them as being like racist and stuff.
How would you influence your friends to come out and hang with them?
I would first off let them know that they're very nice and they all are committed to the community and making Baltimore City a better place. Wow, this has been a really great experience.
Yeah, I think you guys should really come check out the Chesapeake Outward Bound School. It's really fun.
Oh yeah. So this has been Misha Norris.
And I'm Tabitha Braxton. See you next time.
See ya.
And this is the last one to go for a wonderful experience of singing.
My name is Calvin Jennings. I'm 15, and I found out about Outward Bound through my school. I told my college guidance counselor that I was interested in the outdoors and the sea, and she found this. And ever since then, has just been preparing to actually go on this course. I'm technically from New Orleans, but I live in New York City. And New York City compared to Grand Manan, Canada, there's tons of scenic views, and you just can't get that in the city. But here in Canada, you get like a true experience of being surrounded by nature, being able to get lost in it.
My mother's been trying to get me into Outward Bound ever since I was 8 or 9. And I was like, wait a second, like it's actual camping. And then I realized we don't get no showers or our phones or anything. Basically, when I got there, I was completely amazed by what I saw. And it was different from what I expected. It's full on hardcore. You're in the bush. You have to deal with people you don't know, these strangers for 17 days. It's an amazing thing because you learn to get along with them. They become like some of your close friends.
I'm from Saskatchewan, and it's really, really like flat, and that's kind of why I wanted to come to this too, because it was such a beautiful part of Canada. I've always kind of struggled with like confidence in myself, and I was hoping that this would help bring my confidence up. I've never done any sort of hiking or kayaking or anything like this before. I just wanted to try something different, like totally out of my comfort zone kind of thing.
At the start of every day, we set up 2 people that are going to be on breakfast and dinner. Also, we have a cleanup crew. We wake up around like 6, and the breakfast crew comes out. Even though it's only like 2 people, and you'll find like 4 people helping. And we use the stove to heat up things, and we all just work together to create some good food to last us and help us survive and thrive.
My favorite moment was solo. I liked being out there by myself and making my own fire and being able to just hang out. I think they have the solo to just have everyone reflect on everything they've learned and just take a moment to just bring everything in and just absorb it, like the sponge with the kayak.
It's really interesting because for this specific trip, we have to keep watch of the sea state, and we have to look ahead, check the weather reports. We have to look and make our own judgments.
The instructor's been teaching us lots of skills you don't learn it in school. How to read the clouds, how to tell the weather or what's coming from the weather. Like you think it's a hot day, but then they're able to tell you if it's gonna go down.
It was just nice to see how people who didn't know a thing, or me being a person that didn't know a thing about kayaking, and how they just pushed us to where we're going like a good 10 kilometers on the open sea. You wouldn't imagine that in like a couple of days. We go from here to there.
The only way you can really grow is to be pushed out of your comfort zone and to extend your comfort zone. That's basically what I see Outward Bound does. It makes your comfort zone bigger. When you come to the camp, you don't know what to expect. You've never done this before, so you don't know if you have the strength in you or the willpower in you to do it. And when you do get it done, it's just like, wow, I can actually do this. I'm able to lift a heavy kayak that's fully packed with our food, all of our clothing, our tents, and you get to be proud of yourself, and you learn to not rely on other people to do what you have to do. In order to benefit the group, you have to do your own part.
I think the challenges that they bring forth to you, like they help you grow, because if you don't fail ever, you're not gonna get anything out of it. And this course kind of like that, like you're constantly pushing yourself. In the sea, like the waves are strong, you have to keep going, you can't give up.
I appreciate hot showers. I remember when I was younger, my mom had to badger me to take a shower. Definitely my bed, I miss my bed. This course is just making me actually appreciate home and not take anything for granted. I'm blessed with many things that I need to acknowledge that I'm blessed.
Coming on this, it definitely gives you a break from your regular life. Like on the solo, I was definitely doing a lot of thinking about like myself, and just it makes you realize like a lot about yourself that you didn't know was there, and all the qualities you have and all the good stuff.
I love just sitting down in some spots, taking a moment to just enjoy the view that nature's giving you. It's like, here's what I am. I'm not giant buildings in a city. I'm trees, I'm water, I'm land. I'm not just concrete, I'm an actual living thing. This is what I truly am. It's an amazing experience, and I love it.
excellent. Madam, that was really superb. What came to my mind is when this pandemic is going to end, we can also plan something.
Okay,
About to ask you, ma'am, can we do these kind of courses?
okay,
These
okay.
are experiential learning courses, right, ma'am?
Yes, yes, yes. Experiential learning courses. And I just wanted to share with you all that how many centers we have outward bound and where do we as India stands. This is something to be shared for. So just let me take you to the map.
Ma'am, want to tell you, my friend and I was planning to open this kind of outbound experiences
See, we
company.
have India here. Can you see it? India, we have Bharat as one center. And outward bound, needless to say, tell you all that this is, this is a legacy of Kurt Han, and which is followed by a lot of other researchers and contributors of experiential learning. So when it came to India, it was way back. Let me take you to this India Bharat website, and I'm happy to share with you all that I'm a part of this India Bharat Outward Bound Bharat group, which is here in Nagpur. Near to the Nagpur, we have one center, and the other center is India Himalayan. So this is how outward bound is, is being explored, has grown, has reached so much of a countries worldwide, and few of the snapshot videos which you have just gone through is just to give you an overview, an idea about the core philosophy which we have shared in this session. So the core philosophy of self exploration, of finding your meaning behind your own life, or something which is hidden, which is very much uh, which needs an unleashing effort. So this unleashing effort could be, this one kind set of an opportunity in the form of outward bound or experiential expeditions or कैंप्स सो ये चीज मैं आप लोगों से शेयर करना चाह रही थी कि दिस इज वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट टूल इन आवर हैंड एज ए ट्रेनर्स you can go through the website, understand the various programs, courses, some important inputs as a trainer also or as a participant also. So to end up with my small story, I was being introduced to Outward Bound Bharat group first in my lifetime. And as I was working into academics for almost 5 7 years, and in the midst of that, I had this opportunity to explore our academic pursuits in more out of the classroom way. So we were approached, and then we were finding out some way out, and this is how we land up to the outward bound people. And I still remember we were also a part of an NHRD, National HRD network. You all must be knowing about, like an ISTD platform. That is one another platform for the HR and trainers networking. So I was also a founder secretary to NHRD, and we thought of an idea that something outside the classroom, something outside the conferences and those symposiums, those white paper presentations, and something outside that, what input we can have wherein we would share our learnings, experiences, and explored in some other format. So I still remember we called upon this great personality, the legendary personality you must all be knowing about, Dr. Uday Parikh, late Dr. Uday Parikh. And he is the biggest contributor when it comes to OD and change management. And when it comes to organizational based inputs for learning or shift in learning or shift in changes, I was always reading him in books or somewhere into, all his books. I was just following up. So this opportunity came to me that, we shared uh, the campsite together. I was a program coordinator that time. I was representing NHRDN, and he was a resource person. So humble personality, so down to earth, and yet a learned person. I had ever thought in my dreams that I would meet him in person. And that day, when we had those 2 days stay together, and he was there only for a one day, he joined us in morning and left by evening time. But the small exercises which we went through, and he talked about in the training perspective, something beyond the classroom. That time it took me ahead, it touched me like anything. That we were always talking about that there is need to be change, there is a need to shift our understanding, the dimension of understanding. So those moments were, those learnings I still remember. I still have those um, notes with me which he was speaking about, and I was just taking down. I still do revisit again and again to those notes. And I just fall in love with that kind of a training input, that kind of a training intervention that touches your heart. So uh, the exercises which you have gone through in these small videos, not exactly those expeditions we had this in this particular campsite of OBB, but we had similar kind of a setups. So we together we were moving ahead, and I was a student of him also. So जैसे योगेश ने बोला ना, you fall in love with that particular aura, and then things change ahead in your life. So since then I have never looked back, and I am a proud outbounder, and I'm associated with this particular group, and there is huge a long way to go ahead. This was my small story, and which I felt that on this platform I should share with you all. And there is a lot to be explored for. I have just given you an insight. I have just given you a pathway to go ahead, and some few of the resources that will land you at a right path. And if you fall in love with such kind of an experiences, so that would be the best success of experiential learning together on this platform. I hope I could share the idea with you all. Are you there all?
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
we come to an end of this particular session. As Yogesh was talking about, next coming two session, I have kept reserved for small exercise from your side, since today you are all free from your assignments and lot of other work also. तो हमारे दो सेशंस में हम ये डिस्कस करने वाले हैं कि जो भी अभी तक एज इन कंप्लीट सेमेस्टर वन of all the 4 paper, putting it together in a small mini project kind of a exercise, and which would be handled by a group of people. So Yogesh and 3 more have joined him. So one group is already working upon one idea. That idea is a training intervention for new employees. I just gave them a theme. I just gave them an what should I say, the entire description or brief about what areas to be put in, and they are working upon it. So they would be presenting in the next class. So Yogesh, you were talking about कि कोई और भी इसमें join करे, so we can think about the second project idea, a small mini project idea that you can work upon for a next week time. I'll of course guide you. I'll just tell you what to be done, how it is to be done, and then next class for 20 minutes slot, the group would come and present the idea. And it's going to be more about the training methodologies, experiential learning methodologies, which we have discussed on this platform. You have gone through all the study material which is there in your hand, and how to put in into it an action. So this small project would give you an insight and it would be shared with all others, those who join. So ऐसे कोई और individuals who would like to come up and join, so we can go for it. Yogesh?
Madam,
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
you'll be giving another topic or same?
No,
Topic will remain
another,
same.
no, another theme.
Okay. Yeah.
Ma'am, so this class will be on Saturday, right? And the next Saturday as well.
Yes,
So
yes.
coming Saturday and then next Saturday also, right?
No, coming Saturday we will have this project discussion, and
Okay.
the last class next to next Saturday would be the end of the session with quizzes and some mock test.
Okay. Okay.
Just a small preparation for you all as from the examination point of view. So next session
Done.
हम इसके लिए plan कर सकते हैं जो project idea है ना? So
Done, ma'am.
अनुराग जी आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
Yeah. Madam, you can tell the next theme also. We would
अच्छा,
like
but
to certainly work on it.
But you along with two more should be there. At least three should be there. So I will.
Ma'am, I will join Anurag ji.
Ajay ji, okay,
Oh.
Anurag ji, Ajay ji, and Yogesh.
Ma'am,
आप किसके बारे
Ma'am,
में?
two more names given. One is Monica. I had a discussion with her, Monica Singh.
अच्छा.
And one is Aditi also was interested when I had a conversation. I need to talk to her because she is not in class right now.
आज दोनों भी नहीं है ना, तो फिर हम
नहीं.
कैसे उनका decision पक्का समझे? So
Yeah,
हम
ma'am. That's
इनके
why.
साथ
That's why.
चलते हैं. प्रतीक है. प्रतीक
Right.
गुप्ता said yes,
Yes.
he's in. हाँ जी.
Yes, ma'am.
तो आप तीनों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप अपना अपना ईमेल आईडी चैट बॉक्स पे डाल दीजिए. I'll get in touch with you with all the details.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Anurag ji, I have your email ID, no worries. But Prateek and Ajay ji, chat.
Okay.
Madam, you can allot on your own also.
No,
course.
I don't wish to do that.
Okay.
That's voluntary, Anurag ji.
Yes. Let it be from your side.
Yeah, actually, people are not freely willing to come
No,
forward.
it's okay. Therefore, it's a voluntary exercise. So,
But it must be very, very entertaining. I can sense it. So,
no. It's a voluntary exercise, so I won't force anybody, and it's not for your any kind of an evaluation process. Okay, it is for our self-evaluation. It is for a shared learning. That's it, nothing else. So these are live, small, mini projects, I should say. Live में इसलिए कहूँगी क्योंकि I am still working upon it. ऐसे कुछ ideas हैं themes हैं. So I would like you to participate. So the first group is already enrolled for, and we have also the other group. So Ajay ji and Prateek ji, you have got me. Okay, ठीक है, email मिल गया है ID.
So ma'am, in one group we have 4 people. In another group we have 2. Is that okay?
No issue. Minimum is
Okay.
3. Minimum is 3. And you people are okay with each other. 4 is enough. We have free first group with 4 people. Second group with 3 people. ठीक है ना?
Madam, basically, I am like others, very much adventure learning, loving.
Okay.
Now, the movies, short clippings you showed, so I was taken back in my old memories.
Okay.
I'm missing all these things for a long time. So,
आपने
to be
कुछ
small-
किया है ऐसा कभी करिए आप experience
Yeah,
कर चुके हैं?
actually, so much of traveling. My father was in transferable job.
No,
Mine was
something
also.
related with outbound. Did you had this
Yeah,
experience?
frequently we were going out and lot of that mountain climbing and going on excursion trips.
Okay.
And in fact, in our organization side also, whenever we used to go to Pune, we were taken for entire group was taken for excursion trip.
Chaliye, then we'll
once-
freeze. I'm interrupting you because we are running
No,
out
it's
of
okay.
time. So we'll just freeze the idea that this particular group, along with Anurag ji, Ajay ji, and Prateek ji, would be working upon and theme which would give you an insight about outward bound training. ठीक है, चलेगा?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. चलिए. So we'll freeze that.
Ma'am,
and I'll get
84th batch will be having a gang who will be doing experiential training program outside. So
Yes.
definitely once we'll be over, no ma'am, 1.5 year
Yes,
after,
yes,
we'll definitely plan 84th batch gang.
And you all are most welcome to Nagpur. I am going to be your host. No worries.
Done, ma'am. We'll
Done.
follow you.
Done, done. Okay, see you then. Thank you so much. I have already shared the PPT, so please do go through if I have missed anything because we are running short of time. There were couple of slides which you'll understand on your own and you'll see through.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
let's meet next time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Your session was as usual great.
Thank you.